Isaac Hernandez.
And I'm Holly McClure.
And this is Faith on Film, a program designed to keep you informed on everything that's happening in the world of faith and family entertainment. Holly, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Holly. Happy birthday to you. I know you just had a birthday not too long ago.
That is so special. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yes, I did. We just recently had one, and I like to call it, I reached another level. That's what I like to call it.
That sounds good enough for me. And apparently,
people say it took around the sun. Well, I reached another level.
And apparently, Pureflix has reached another level as well. They've got a new movie coming out now as their partnership with Sony, don't they?
They really do. That's a great segue. And speaking of family entertainment, this show will be about family entertainment, interviewing people who are married and interviewed by people who are family, brother and sister. So this is really a family show today.
This is a very special show. Now, I know we've known, of course, the folks over at Pureflix for a long time now. And they, since they were, let's say, starting, and I remember picking up a lot of their movies for TBN. But what really launched them to being this great studio that they are?
Well, for Pureflix, I mean, I know David when he was an actor, acting in films. In fact, I was working on a couple of films he was in. And then when he first started off with Mercy Streets and so forth and so on. But boy, they got their big break with God's Not Dead. And that was the big break that came when people were saying, I'm not going to go see Noah. That's a horrible movie. We're going to go see God's Not Dead and we're going to support them. And boy, that's what happened. And they took off from there.
Yep. You know what? I'm waiting for Faith on Film to get one of those big breaks. But I digress. So listen, let's take a look at the trailer for this new movie that they've coming out, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
And what's it called?
It is called, what is it? Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. Yeah, I have both of those. Well, I have strong daughters and a strong wife. Here's the trailer.
What's gonna happen?
A man can argue with friends and colleagues whether God exists. But when he looks at his daughters, you, Zoe, and Abby, the best three things in my life, he just knows.
Buenas noches!
I got a surprise for you. This is why we sent you to business schools.
I'm getting married.
What?
In 3 weeks.
What? You don't even know this kid.
This is for you.
Think of it as gaining a son.
Oh! Dad? What happened?
Stop being happy!
It's like I don't even know my daughter.
Not fair!
She's 16. She's not done cooking yet.
Can we microwave her?
Can't wait for you guys to meet his parents.
Wonderful to meet you.
With 3 daughters, this is wisdom, my friend. Read carefully.
Looks like it's been through battle.
Consider it a field menu.
Zozo Partey, the Todd Bob? Get your hands off my daughter.
Hey, bro.
Get in the car, now.
No. I hate you!
I'm really tired of feeling like the bad guy here.
You still don't get it!
I took my eye off the ball. I'm gonna get better at how I show him.
Daughters are gifts to guide, love, teach. But they're not for us to keep.
Loving you,
At some point, you realize your daughter's taking her last ride on your shoulders. I'm learning to let go of my plans and start trusting God with his.
That looks like a very interesting movie to see with my daughters, actually. That's the kind of movies that maybe dads should take their daughters to, huh?
I think it's going to be those kind of movies. Yeah, because it's lighthearted and kind of fun, but it does have a message to it. What I want to tell you about Isaac, it's kind of interesting and exciting. There's 2 married couples in the film, Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, but there's also, we've got a red carpet event that we went to. So Faith on Film was on the red carpet, and we had a brother and sister, Gianna and Jacob Holiday. Now, they are in their early 20s, but they were both homeschool kids. And so they grew up doing reviews for me and interning for me and doing things for my movies. I would take them to junkets. So they're professionals, and they were on the red carpet for this movie. And I think you're going to enjoy the questions and answers they got.
This show is really taking off since you came on the scene here.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Isaac. And I love what we're doing. And I love the fact that we're really bringing and raising up a younger generation to want to do what we're doing. And that's great. I mean, we're mentoring a younger generation. I love that.
Well, let's take a look at them on the red carpet.
Hi, I'm Gianna Holiday.
And I'm Jacob Holiday with Faith on Film, here for the new premiere of the Pureflix original movie, Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters.
Take a look to see who we got coming down the red carpet. So I'm super excited to see the movie, and it's just a great film for, I think, families especially in this era and this age. So what are you guys hoping people are going to get out of this film?
Well, I'm hoping that people realize just how important it is to be a vulnerable and humble and involved dad, and that dads aren't just the butt of jokes like they've been for so long. You know, we've all been laughing about, you know, the dad being kind of like, you know, ridiculous and silly, and that can be funny sometimes, but really it holds up the dad as somebody that needs to accept and love their daughter for being because she's an adult, her own person, and to really just to humble himself in that he does not know everything that's right for her, but support her, and that he's done it. He's been there and he's been involved, and he can trust her to use everything that he's taught her to live her own life.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the movie gives dads an opportunity to feel that they can talk to their daughters, you know, about anything and be close to their daughters, and that way it helps them guide their daughters, because if there's an open line of communication, they're able to speak into their daughter's life a little bit more, and and the daughters then trust the dad a little bit more, because oftentimes as guys we're taught like, oh, we don't talk about certain things, or certain subjects are not, you know, I can't talk about that with my daughter, you know, let the wife talk about that with the daughter. But really there's no subjects that shouldn't be discussed as a family in general, and especially between a daughter and a father. It's such a special relationship. You know, we have 2 daughters, and raising them has been just a blessing. I've learned so much about myself, and just been able to get close to them and stuff like that, stuff that I wasn't taught as a man to do, right? But as a father, I've taken it upon myself to just be that open dad that talks about things and guides them and is there for them, and you know, all that kind of stuff.
You know, the movie is based on Meg Meeker's book of the same name, Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. And one of the things that she emphasizes is that, especially during the teenage years, when girls don't want anything to do with their dads, or it's because of how they're feeling about themselves, which is a natural developmental process, which is high insecurity. And the mistake, but it looks like it's the right thing for a dad to do, is to kind of like, oh, back off. When really it's the opposite that we need as young women. We need our dads to be the hero that we really want. And they need to do the opposite of backing away, which is more attention, more support, just being with us, more physical affection. All the things that a dad may think is not the right time. It's the opposite. And I mean, we see what a difference that makes. Just statistically, girls that have close bonds with their dads get involved in risky activities at a much later time, not an early time, if they do it all. Are more likely to go to college, more likely to go to grad school, more likely to have a stronger sense of self and confidence. It's just so important, and I think that it's time to make that turn, to respect the father again after we've laughed at him for a couple of decades. Because we see, unfortunately, the ramifications and the results of not respecting our dads and their wisdom and what they have to offer. As imperfect as they are, we all are. Dads don't need to feel like they have to be perfect. They just need to be there and get the major things right. So I'm glad that our film celebrates that.
No, that's such an amazing response, and definitely something that relates to my own life. Just like you said, the man really not being afraid to step in, because daughters, I know myself, I've definitely backed away from my dad in times where really I wanted him to be closer to me. So that's a beautiful message, I think, to families, fathers, and daughters today in this age. We're so excited to see the movie, and thank you guys so much for speaking to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm obviously very excited about this film. A lot of people here are. I come from a family, many siblings, my father, my mother, love them very, very much, very cohesive family unit. But in a film like this, you're trying to kind of pull on the heartstrings a little bit. You tug on them a little bit, and you're trying to portray a message. What message do you want your audience to be able to reiterate after watching this movie?
So to me, this movie is all about fathers and daughters and trust. It is not an easy thing to raise a strong daughter. As someone who has 2 strong daughters myself, I've been through that minefield, so to speak. And in order to allow them to step up and become strong women of God, they need to wrestle oftentimes with dad, right? And for a father, like in our movie, who wants to keep them close, and if they're his little girls, he doesn't want to let them grow. And it's really difficult for him to watch them grow up. But he's got to learn, like all of us have to learn, that daughters are not for us to keep. They're for us to love and guide and teach, but ultimately to let go. They're a gift from God, but not for us to keep. And so there is that. The message of this film is really one about faith in God and trusting God with the future of his daughters. And I think that's something that we can all take away, that if we are trying to hold on to them, we're not exhibiting faith to be able to say, okay, God, they're yours now. And we can raise them, we can do our job, but to hold on to them too tightly is not a good thing. And so really this is a celebration of fathers and daughters and families in general, but especially that special bond between a father and a daughter, especially when maybe they're both really strong and they clash. Oftentimes for a dad, it's just so difficult to let a daughter grow up and stand on her own 2 feet. And so this is a movie where we really wrestle with a lot of those issues, and it comes down to faith. Do you have faith to trust God with their future?
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant point, well made. Definitely a hard pill to swallow. I have 2 younger sisters, so not quite the same relationship in terms of father to daughter, but I'm second line of defense. So I understand it, and I'm the same way. And, my sister, thank God, she's nowhere getting near married yet, so I don't have to worry about that problem. But how would someone outside of just the father and daughter, or even the father as well, how do you go about building that trust so then when you get to a point, you have the faith to let go because there's so much trust built up, it's going to work out?
Raising daughters is an adventure no matter who you are. Okay, mother, father, raising kids of any type is an adventure no matter who you are. And especially with little girls, when they look at dad and as they're growing up as little girls, you are their hero. And there is a point where that changes. And in order to maintain a relationship with your daughters as they're growing older, it's a matter of showing them trust, of letting go a little bit of time. Sometimes they're going to make mistakes. And as a dad, that's not easy to watch. But you have to step back for a second and say, listen, they have to make their own mistakes. That's how people learn. But you've got to love them, you've got to support them, you've got to be there for them. Even if they go off and they totally reject what you have for them, you have to have faith enough in God that he's got their best interest in mind. And so I firmly believe that with daughters, if you love them and you support them and show them unconditional love, they will be... It's emotional for me, okay? It's emotional for me. You will have a stronger relationship with them for it if you show them trust. And that is one of the most difficult things to do as a father, especially as they get older and make their own decisions. But I know from experience that by trusting God with their future, I can step back and say, I'm not going to be so anxious about keeping them in my idea of what they should do with their life. And as you go through that process, you start to trust more and more. And then you start to see them for the young women that they are. And you start to see that they're going to make their own decisions and live their own life. But then you get to celebrate, oftentimes, that choice of theirs, even though it's maybe not what you would have made for your own. You're like, oh my gosh, you're an amazing person. And I love that.
What's a key message you're wanting them to receive? Why should families come see this together?
Being a dad is not necessarily an easy job. But your daughters, your kids are the most important elements of your life, and so it's about how in the world do you raise them as godly girls, godly women, and still be the father figure that I'm supposed to be, and or any father is supposed to be. And I think that's just a universal message that relates so much to everybody has not everybody has kids, but everybody can relate when they do have children about what is that connection to them, and wanting these beautiful darlings to grow up the way and to be their best selves, and to basically to follow the dream that God puts in their lives and become the women that He wants them to be. And so if I have a part in that, whatever that part is, I hope that I'm, but the good news is that we made a movie about it that tells us all how to do it. And that's based on Meg Meeker's book, of course. So we're proud of this movie, and I'm excited to share it with our little one here in it.
Awesome. Well, you should be very proud, and I'm sure it's fun for you guys to be here, huh? Well, I'm excited to see the movie, and I know fathers and daughters should too. So thank you.
Thank you, Gianna and Jacob. Holly, they are professional. They did a great job.
They're professional. I just love it. They got their microphone and camera out there. Jacob is so funny because he's very intellectual. So, he's doing this in-depth question. I started thinking, someday I'll be a father. Well, as a father and a daughter, and you don't expect that from a young 20-year-old. I just love the way he was asking questions. Yeah. He's so funny.
Well, he said something really interesting, and he put himself in the place of like secondary to his dad, to his sisters. So he said, my dad, of course, is the responsible one for them, but he sort of said, I'm the next one in line. And then he mentioned about not worrying right now that one, his sister is not getting married yet. So he said, it's almost like, I don't have to worry about that just yet. I thought that was the cutest thing.
He's already thinking like a father, isn't he?
He is, and that's terrific. And I have two daughters. My oldest two are daughters, and then of course my youngest one is a son. And yeah, he's also very protective, even though they were protective of him. But then when it came to the other way around, he became very protective of them.
Did he? Yes. And especially as they get older, don't they? Yes.
Yeah, they do.
And realize it. Yeah. But I think there was some great answers and really thoughtful about family and about, this legacy and how important the relationships are. And so again, the movie is funny. It's kind of campy, kind of goofy, but it got a good message. It's got a deeper message.
And that's what's needed right now, because a lot of the movies that are coming out are almost more tearing the families apart as opposed to bringing them together.
Right.
Well, Pureflix certainly has been doing a fantastic job at this. Now, we, of course, also have several interviews with one of the couples. And again, you mentioned that they were married. So they played a married couple, but they're actually a real married couple, aren't they?
Both of the couples in this movie are married in real life, which I think adds even more to it. And you're gonna hear them say, well, one of the couples, but all of them were saying, yes, this has really helped us play the roles because we were playing married couple on film, and it's things we really do at home. So it's interesting to watch the dynamic. I think that's very interesting and rare.
Well, let's take a look at them.
This is our first time ever really working together.
Well, we've worked together, but kind of like in passing scenes, not like this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
First time as husband and wife, for sure. And first time we've said more than, our characters never had a scene together when we're passing along. Oh, hey, how's it going? Not really.
Yeah.
Right? So we have a lot of great scenes. We have great scenes.
And minuses.
Oh, well, first of all, I just want to stat. I want to make sure everybody understands. We have a lot of great scenes together. And that's our first time. That was a really fun experience, right?
Really fun.
And we did a really, really beautiful scene the other night in the kitchen. That was what we were talking about. When the scene was over, that's amazing. We got to do that together. That's so special. It's so cool.
Right? It's like we could connect and literally feel, because the whole art of doing what we do is you have to imagine you're in this little world and it truly exists. And there's none of this. There's none of the people and the lights and the camera and the boom. And you have to just, this is a real moment. And it was so easy to do that.
Yeah, and it was a very close, intimate moment where touch each other, grab each other. And it's a lot easier to do with your wife than a stranger, and you're like,
hey, hi, husband.
Yeah, So that's probably the best. Well, a lot of laughs, though. That might be the best.
We can go to work together. We can leave together. We
carpool. We got
lines.
one dressing room here.
Run lines all the time. What if we didn't like each other? That would be
terrible.
Bad.
That'd be awkward. There's some stuff there that's uncanny. When I read it, I was like, this is totally me. Yeah. This is it's like someone's peeping in our windows, watching my life, because I'm a soccer coach, and this guy's a soccer coach, and he settles issues with his daughter. If they have a conflict, they're like,
so fun.
Let's go outside and play soccer. Settles the old-fashioned way.
Oh my gosh,
that's
I was dying.
Well, I play soccer with my kids all the time, so there's a lot of stuff that was very, very familiar.
But I was laughing so hard.
What's going on? There's animals are dying around here. What, you were
I was laughing so hard at you in that scene, and I'm supposed to be in the scene, but I'm like,
What scene? What scene?
The soccer.
Oh.
That was really funny.
I get to play soccer. I finally get to play a sport I actually know how to play in this movie. I'm very excited about that. And I was paid to play the sport. I think that makes me a professional, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think
it does.
by law, I'm a professional soccer player.
There you
now.
go. I think about my daughter, Kate, and I think about her as an individual and how proud I am of her, of how strong she is, how she stands up for herself. And I feel like we're raising a generation of kids that are so much different. Like the communication between parents and children, from my experience and what I'm seeing with my friends, it's just gone up. You know, there's a constant communication and dialogue that I think is so, so important. You know, we always talk to our kids and we keep an open line of communication. And I think it's really, I'm really proud of our kids and my daughter for being able to vocalize herself and speak her mind and her opinion. And that's what I think of. I think of daughters that are confident and feel good about saying what's on their heart and their mind, and fathers being able to in turn do the same.
We have 3 kids, so I think we get sentimental really easily, right?
Yeah.
You start thinking immediately about how much you care about your kids and what a priority they are in your life. And there's nothing we care more about than our kids. The career and movies and responsibilities all come secondary to our kids. We value our time with our kids more than anything, and we want to make their life and build them up more than anything we want in life. So it's really, really important to us.
Kids generally think they know everything, but this really puts some important issues in perspective, or an important issue in perspective. And you may think you know everything, but truly it's your parents that love you the most, that will always be there for you, that always have your back, even though you think they're like the worst humans on the planet. We haven't experienced that with our kids, thankfully, not yet anyway. But they're there to protect you and love you, and even if they like you hate them for it, it's because they love you so much that they will do the things that his character does at one point in the film, which completely humiliates one of the daughters. But it's actually really tender, I thought.
You know, Isaac, for people, we were earlier talking about Pureflix and how God's Not Dead was their big breakout movie. But I want to remind folks, this is actually Sony. This is their new division. They bought Pureflix and took it on as their streaming so that they can have movies and stream them. And they're doing original productions. But this is Sony and their Christian faith-based film division. So for now on, people need to realize that, yes, it's got the same name, but it's a different company and people behind it. And I think that's important to say that that's what Sony's trying to do, is these films for families and faith-based audiences. So that's important.
Now, is not maybe part of the leadership, like David A.R. White and maybe Michael Scott, kind of transitioned into Sony and technically running it?
I think they're technically running it. They have their own Pinnacle Pete, which is their own production company, and that's, I think the name is on this film. So they'll be making films for Pureflix to show, and then Pureflix is going to air it, but Pureflix will also be introducing other films from other directors and people. So yes, it's going to be a combination now that you'll see, but they're still very much involved in it. You know, this movie reminded me so much of my relationship with my father, who has passed away about 4 years ago now. But I was the oldest of 4 girls. And so Dad loved his 4 girls. And it was such a special relationship he had with all of us, really all through my life. I was always close to my father. And especially in the latter years, my mother had passed. And so I had, another 15 years with my dad. And it was fun to grow up with him. He would bring us boxes of candy for Valentine's. We'd get little boxes of chocolates. And, Mom was the one that really ran the ship. Let's be honest about it. But Dad was the one that when Dad came home and when we went out to eat or we'd go to movies, he was so proud of his 4 girls. And I love that special father-daughter relationship. And I'm one of those who can say I had a good one. I know not everyone has. Not everyone has great father relationships. But it really did play an important part of my faith journey to realize Father God and, here's my Father on earth and how much I love him. Think how much more God loves me. And it really was a good connection spiritually for me to have that father figure.
Oh, wow. And, for me, it's pretty much the flip side of that. Of course, I am the father, and I have, like I said, 2 daughters. I have a son. He's the youngest one. But my daughters, they were my first, and we really, the whole family, we're very close. And yes, they're definitely strong daughters. But we've got this great relationship. They love hanging around me. It's kind of
they're so close to you. They're so close to you. They moved to be by you. Okay, not many daughters do that.
They did. My son moved here to Texas first, and then I followed, mostly not because I was following him, but because I was following the lake. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I love when I brought his stuff over. I saw the lake, and I'm like, I got to live here. And when I announced that we were moving, my daughter said, well, I think we're going to move too then. And the first one moved. Then the second one moved maybe, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months later. But yeah, they both just packed up, and they have families. They have husbands. It isn't like just these, single daughters that decide, okay, well, we'll follow you. The whole family packed up. In fact, my youngest daughter, who was the last one to make the move, she sent her kids before she came so they could start school here. So we actually became parents for a while of our grandkids. But they follow her. We have a great relationship. And you know what? And I've posted this on Facebook before. They're here at the house all the time. We live very close.
Yes.
We live one of them lives literally 7 minutes away, the other one like 20. And they're always here, all of them. They all love to come to my house to hang out. And sometimes it's like, okay, can we have a little bit of time alone? But actually, I love that we can always be together. And I know that you don't have that. You don't have that right now, and I feel bad for you because it's really important to be able to have that type of
so important. It is so important. Yeah, my 3 kids and my 8 grandkids live in 3 states, so they're not even here in Texas. I do have sisters here, but Isaac, it's so important, especially in these years.
Yeah.
Even as adult daughters, I think that I'm saying about myself. As adult daughters, to know you have a father like you, Isaac, and you're such an amazing man of God and a wonderful husband, a wonderful father, a great leader. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, you live that life, that exemplary life, and so I don't blame them for wanting to be near you. You're a strong, stable factor in their lives, as well as their husbands and other situations. But I know how that feels as a daughter to be able to know that the dad's always there. And there's just something about knowing that. And it's such a great comfort and a feeling and security. So I think it speaks well that your daughters wanted to be by you.
Thank you. I see you got the script of everything I wanted you to say about me. No, that wasn't. Well,
no,
listen.
I'm going to give you a pat on the back because you deserve it. Because you know what? And that's what this movie does. This movie points out about father and daughter relationships and how important family is. It focuses on all of that.
Well, it has been a great show, and we really want to make sure people get out there and watch this movie and take your daughters with you. Take your sons with you. Take your whole family. But anyway, we just want to remind you that you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We got some great shows coming up soon. And of course, big important thing, go to YouTube and look up Faith on Film TV. Yes. And not only will you get to watch a lot of shows that are there, but hit that subscribe button so you are aware of new shows that are coming up. And we got some doozies coming up. We're going to have Alex and Stephen Kendrick here in a few weeks. So we're very excited about that. Of course, you can always write us also on faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Holly? It was another good one.
We did it again.
We did.
We did again. Thanks, Isaac.
You bet. Take care now.